News Geelong. The Geelong Football Club has a history that dates back to its very beginnings in 1859. Initially known as the Pivotonians, Geelong is now the Mighty Cats, playing in the National League of AFL. The history and memorabilia surrounding the club is vast, as the News Geelong camera, together with Ian Nichols, takes on this exclusive journey.
We are very privileged this week to take a tour of the what I would call the Dark Vaults here at the Geelong Football Club. There's so much memorabilia here, so much history, and we're very fortunate the Vice President of the club, Bob Gartland, and Bob is also the Chairman of Honouring the Past. That's why he's taken time out today to show us in these wonderful vaults just what is behind the past players' rooms. And of course, who better to introduce it than the original cat? We commence our coverage with Bob Gartland taking on this tour of this wonderful memorabilia with the Timekeepers Bell. A pretty old, I believe it was the Newtown Fire Station's bell, Bob.
It came from Newtown Fire Station. It was the Timekeepers Bell in the early part of last century. And Peter Burns, who was one of the great champions of our club, was the timekeeper here for 40 years, I think. And he was a great player who played for Geelong, and he sat and rang that bell to terminate a quarter and to signal the end of a game. It's quite a famous bell, and it's in storage at the moment, but over the next few months it'll be relocated out into our display area and at the entry, which will be great, so everyone will be able to come and see it.
Well, we must point out to our viewers we are very privileged today. This week we're in an area that is air conditioned and is the dark vaults, we might say, of the Geelong Footy Club, with material here that's never really been publicly displayed.
Yeah, firstly, this room is our storage facility for our extensive memorabilia display. It's climate controlled, it's humidity controlled, and it's museum grade storage. And our collection is quite vast, as I'm sure you would understand, and not all of it can be displayed at one time. But what happens in this area is a lot of conservation and storage and cataloguing and what have you goes on in this place. So people don't get to see this room, to be perfectly honest. This is really the inner sanctum of the heart of the football club, and there are dedicated staff here who look after our collection on a museum quality basis.
Yes, well, we're going to see some of that. It's just an incredible opportunity to see some of the history, the memorabilia been acquired over a very long period of time.
Yeah, a lot of this collection dates back to the mid and late 1800s when the club first began, and a lot of this collection is being donated by players and the families of past players and what have you, donated back to the club and for all of our members and cat supporters to enjoy.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done here, and we should also perhaps acknowledge the staff you have here. Sharon Dickman is
our coordinator for our Honouring the Past.
Yes. And
she is an extraordinary organiser with an extraordinary history in museum archiving and experience. So we're very fortunate to have her on board here, and she does a fantastic job for our football club. Very passionate, and certainly knows what she's doing and steers us all in the right direction, Ian.
Well, you mentioned the word museum. Do you think in the future there will be a museum here at the Geelong Football Club that everybody can, enjoy?
Part of our development plans for Stage 4, which is the area at the northern end of the stadium, is that we create a sports museum, not just for the Geelong Football Club, but for the Geelong region, that actually embraces all the sports. There's been a lot of great sports people who've come from Geelong, and we think that a sports museum as part of this stadium that's common to the whole of the Geelong region is quite apt. And so we as part of our funding submissions and what have you, we are including a museum into stage 4, and we're certainly hopeful that one day we'll have a museum, Ian, and that will then help us to re-engage as well the rest of the Geelong community in relation to other sports as well. It's a very important part of Geelong region's history.
Well, now perhaps you will take this guided tour and look at perhaps some of the items that could well appear in the museum, because I know we're about to get a treat. There's going to be some real surprises coming up.
There are a couple of surprises, so let's go.
1925, I believe, is a premiership year, and Lloyd Hagger, a household name for many years to come, was the leading goal kicker, 78 goals in that year, and this was presented to him.
Yeah, this is actually the original piece that was presented to Lloyd Hagger by the club. He was actually the competition leading goal kicker in that premiership year, which is quite an achievement. Very clever footballer. This piece, for example, is the original piece. The framing and the mounting, this is an example of how our memorabilia is being conserved in accordance with our guidelines, and this is quite a new frame and mount and what have you, an old photograph, but a very handsome piece, and one that you don't see very often.
No, and of course a lot of your photographs are bubble wrapped to protect them for future use, no doubt.
Graham Evans is a great supporter of our club, and he has painstakingly put these 58 volumes together. I think they date from about 1998 to the current day, and they are continuing on. I'll show you an example of one of those in a tick, but we've never ever seen scrapbooking at this quality. It's a great chronicle of the record of the club during that period, and certainly a sensational effort on Graham's part. This has been part of his legacy to the club, and we're very grateful for it.
Well, I feel like a rose between two thorns. Not exactly. We've got Paul Couch, a Brownlow medalist, and Mick Schultz, a stalwart of the club. And what better way to say goodbye to our little tour of memorabilia with these two champions beside me. This is Ian Nichols at the Geelong Football Club for News Geelong.
Thank you, Ian, and thank you to the mighty Geelong Football Club. This is News Geelong as we go to a break to return with our sports report and Alex Tigani after this.